think are live. We're going live. We're still going live. We're live.
All right. We're live?
We are live.
Yep. Okay, hang on a second. Oh, yeah, no, you can hear me.
All right, we're good to go.
Yeah, we're good to go.
So mute your side and tweet that stuff out, and let's go.
All right. Oh, shit. I gotta find the link, though. Hang on. Wait, did you make this private or public?
Should be public.
This one should be public? Oh, yeah, it should be. It should be public. All right, hang on. Share. Copy link. Here we go. I'm going to tweet it from the Gallop account.
All right. Man, that's ugly. We are some ugly girl. Like, just to fucking get this thing to go. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Please don't be afraid to ask.
All right. Tweet it out. Let me retweet from my account. As people will end up joining while we're still setting up, but that's cool. My personal account. I really just use as Oh, somebody else retweeted it. Nice. That's cool. Let's see. The head-to-head's got a lot of notice today, though.
That's good. That's what we like to see.
Yeah. All right. And all right. Let's see. That happened. Let me go to. Oh no, I don't want to go to your YouTube. Right.
That thing sounds like you're breaking bones over there, bro.
Sorry, I'm not trying not to type much. I am just looking for. The. Oh, wait, I'm stupid. I am just stupid. I can just go to my tweet and click the link.
We are learning, everybody. We are learning for nobody in the chat that's watching us. We are learning.
Yeah, we are learning. Let's see here. Oh, 2 people watching. Cool.
Okay,
cool.
Fair enough. Welcome.
Welcome. Yeah,
also, Babis's picks for the head-to-head are in the inbox of the DMs, just so you know.
Sounds good.
Let me know when you are all set and ready to go.
I'm all set.
All right.
I'm all set. Do you want to start with, are we just doing Breeders' Cup? We're doing whole full card.
We'll do Breeders' Cup, but let me get started here.
All right.
Welcome, everybody. First live stream for the Thedailygallop. I am your host, Spencer Luganbiel. On the phone with me, I have Vinny from Real Dynasty Picks. Vinny, say what's up.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me.
No problem. So, obviously, a couple technical difficulties before we got off the rip tonight. If the audio doesn't sound too good, please let us know. We're going to try and work on this stuff in the future. It was just kind of something we kind of put together last minute. What do you say we get into these races, Vinny? We'll start with Friday's card. Friday's card, the 5th race is the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf Sprint. It is a grade 2. It is 5 furlongs on the turf course. Where'd you decide to go here?
This is a tough race. I know Kamari and four-wheel drive for Wesley Ward are getting a lot of attention, but I think the Euros provide great value in this field. So I'm definitely spreading in this race. I don't feel comfortable singling. I don't really feel comfortable ever singling a 2-year-old, but especially in a race like this, Alligator Alley is one that I like, and I think I've heard other people like him because he has a lot of speed. He did come 5th to 2 others in here last time out, so probably gonna just use the Euros here and fade the Wesley Ward horses. Honestly,
interesting with Alligator Alley adding the blinkers with a race that already has a decent amount of speed. You said you're going with the international horses. Ali, one of them?
Yes, Ali is one of them. If it wasn't for that post, he would probably be my top pick. He might end up being my top pick either way, even with the post. He gets the Tory back on. The Tory is 3 for 3 on him. He's 0 for 2. The Ali is 0 for 2 with other jockeys, but he's 3 for 3 with the Tory. So it seems like the Tory just has this horse figured out. His time form ratings are pretty solid. I watched that last race where he beat Dream Shot. I thought it was a good race. These Euros on the turf are always tough. Even at Santa Anita, they're usually tough too. I know a lot of people are saying that it's a faster turf course than a lot of them like, but they still usually run pretty well here. So I'm not really discouraged by that. So that's kind of where I'm going here. Again, Kamari and four-wheel drive though do scare me.
It's interesting with the Wesley Ward horses. Usually here, like everyone wants to bet Wesley Ward off the board at Keeneland in the spring, and then as the year goes on, they try to slowly take him more and more off their tickets. I thought they were both dangerous. I think Kamari is going to be the one that I'm going to try to beat. Slowly improving. There were 3 winners out of that Bolton Landing 2 back, and then the nice improvement to a 78 buyer in the Indian Summer. The horse is always seemingly going off at a small price. Abscon, the horse that ran second to him to this horse 2 back, won a grade 1 at Woodbine. So there's back class there. There's back races. Four-wheel drive, that last race is really impressive to win by 3 at Belmont. And the 107 pace figure in the futurity is really dangerous because this horse might just end up on the lead and just might never end up stopping. In the end, I ended up on Ali as my top pick. I like when I see the multiple stake wins, even though it was just 2 grade 2s. Didn't run too well in the grade 1. But Frankie Dettori to start off the Breeders' Cup just sounds like a pretty good sly start. And one of the horses I want to try underneath to beat Kamari is Cambria. I think that when you get stayed into the turn at Kentucky Downs, it's a tough course. The horse is 3 for 3. You could probably upgrade that 74 to a 78, which puts her on par with Kamari, and the price is way different. So you're getting a really nice price on Cambria.
I agree with that. I really just think my issue with the Wesley Ward horses is I know Cambria has been coming off the pace, at least in her 2 back when she won against. I'm not sure there was much in that race that she beat there, so she may have just been the best out of that field by a lot. But Kamari missed the break, had a bad break and closed last time, but she's really speed. Four-wheel drive, he sits right on the pace. He's speed. It's just kind of my issue with Wesley Ward is he enters multiple horses that have the same running style, and they just I feel like they either end up compromising each other, or one just freaks and the others just do nothing. So it's I feel like you either have to in my opinion, I feel like you either have to use all the Wesley Wards, or you hope you can beat them. Because I feel like there's no way Wesley Ward runs 1-2 here.
What's so interesting, and the reason I probably take four-wheel drive over Kamari is Kamari had the good bullet as her first workout after the Indian Summer, and then she kind of just ran the normal maintenance of a 52. Whereas 4-wheel drive did the exact opposite, ran the maintenance work, it seems, first, and then came on with a strong 48-3 on the grass at Keeneland on October 27th. Not that it means a lot, but I like to see the good work going into the race, not so much the reverse of Kamari, although it probably doesn't matter.
Right. And another thing I do like about 4-wheel drive, even though I think I'm going to bait him and hope I can beat him, because I actually think 4-wheel drive is going to take a lot more money than any other horse in this race. I think he's going to be a solid favorite on the board. I don't think it's going to be as close as it is on the morning line.
Under 2-1?
I think probably about 2-1, but I think I think you might get 4-1 on Kamari. I think Alligator Alley probably be 5-6-1. Not Alligator Alley, sorry, Ali. Like, I think others will take money, but I think probably 2-1 is what we're gonna get on 4-wheel drive. It's like Wesley Ward started this horse off in a stake, and yes, it's an ungraded stake, and it's not, it's nothing like marquee, but like, when you see a horse do that, go off as the favorite, and then come back right away in another graded stake and win, like this, they clearly expect big things out of this horse, and he is sired by American Pharaoh, so I mean, they've just been firing on the turf. I just think I just feel like this horse has a recipe to be a very heavy favorite over a horse like Kamari, who, yes, she's been visibly impressive, but besides her last race being super impressive, I agree with the Bolton Landing came back good, but again, besides the top two, I don't really know who else was in that race. Even that race that Avascan came back and won, I didn't think there was much in that race. So I really do think 4-wheel drive's going to be a pretty solid favorite tomorrow.
What do you say we move on to the next race? The 6th race on this Friday, Breeders' Cup race. The Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf, presented by Coolmore America, 1 mile on the turf. Opinion here, going with the favorites or trying to get a price?
I think I'm going to end up on Arizona here. Arizona, he's been the last 2 races. He came in 3rd to Pinatubo, and then last race he came in 2nd to him, but only by 2 lengths. And Pinatubo is, if for those of you who don't know by now, is probably the best rated 2-year-old in Europe right now. A horse is just dominating every race he's been in. So hard to believe that anybody else in this race is up to that challenge. So the 12 post does scare me though, so I'm probably going to use one other horse here to try, like, just in case. But I'm pretty confident Arizona is going to be the one to beat here.
This is one of the hardest races for me in this Friday Breeder Cup. I just feel like every single horse is slowly, like, methodically improving, and no one's really taking a step back. I am 100% against Arizona. So
as I've heard.
So everyone. I also do a podcast with the In the Money guys, Pierre Thomas Fornatow, and we were talking about it last night, and they think I'm crazy too. Aidan O'Brien has not won since Athena last year, I think, on Belmont Stakes Day. So he's had 23 runners, 4%, under $1 ROI. I know he won with Mendelssohn in this race a couple of years ago. I'm going to let this horse beat me, and I think if I do, this horse is probably going to be 9-5, 8-5. I'm going to get so much more value on horses like Structor, improving for Chad. Peace Achieved, going to be up on the pace, improving horse. Decorated Invader, same type of thing, improving for Christophe Clement. Although Christophe Clement, I think, has the most starts now without winning a Breeders' Cup race, so I might want to see that broken too before I start betting Christophe Clement. My big long shot is Vitalogy. Absolutely incredibly tough trip last time out in the Bourbon from the 14 hole and ended up second by a neck to Peace Achieved. So if you're going to go with Peace Achieved, you kind of also have to bring in this horse. And then Our Country, Pilgrim, same type of thing. 7 wide in the upper stretch and just missed by a length and a quarter. There's just so many different ways you can go if you don't like Arizona. And if you pick Arizona, to me, it's kind of like you either have to pick him in single or you have to spread 3 or 4 wide to make sure you're covered in a race like this.
I agree with that. I agree with the way you'd have to structure your tickets here. A lot of the American runners, I know the races on paper look impressive and it looked like they are slowly improving. But like Structor, I thought he had a beautiful trip in the Pilgrim, and I don't think he was the best horse in the race. So I know it's fading Chad on the turf, but I'm fading Chad on the turf.
Fading Chad on the turf at a mile. So it's not that good sprinting, but he's very good in the routes.
I know. And if anybody who follows Dynasty, Chad Brown with Jose Ortiz going a mile on the turf is one of my favorite angles to play. But I don't think this horse is as good as I think this horse has the potential to be very, very good. I don't think he's there yet. And I don't think he really wants to go a mile. I think this is a horse that next year is going to be running in those mile and an eighth races, mile and an eighth, mile and a quarter races in the stakes. So I'm gonna fade him here. Underneath, I might consider using him if I'm doing an exact or trifecta. Piece Achieved, I'm fading completely. I love Declaration of War horses, which is why I do like Decorated Vader. I've been on him all year, but I do not like Piece Achieved at all. I don't think he's that great. I think he's had very good trips. I don't think he's fast enough to be alone on the lead here. And I feel like if he goes out like that, like he's been right off the pace, I feel like he's going to end up getting tucked down inside, and he's just not going to have a good trip. And I don't really trust Miguel Mena in a Breeders' Cup race. If that horse beats me, he beats me. Vitology, he's one. I think he wants more distance. He's been coming in the summer stakes. He came, missed by a length at a mile. Came back in the Bourbon, just missed at a mile in the 16th. I think he wants longer. So I'm like, he could beat me. He could beat me, and he may be one that on multis, if I do play a multi-ticket, fading Arizona, I'll probably add this one because I think he has talent. I just think this might be too short. Two horses you didn't talk about that I think have a decent chance are Fort Myer, another Aiden O'Brien. He's been running good. He's stretching out on the turf, which I like. And his last race was on synthetic, but his turf number and his synthetic number, his last 2 races are pretty much the same. Mm-hmm. He's getting Lasix for the first time, which I like when they get Lasix for the first time coming over. It doesn't always turn out well, but I usually take it as a positive. He gets Lorden over here riding. I know he hasn't won a race this year, but I think at 12-1, he's a good alternative. And Hit the Road, I think, is interesting too. He's unlike you get 10-1 on you have 10-1 morning line on Hit the Road, and you have 10-1 morning line on Vitology. And Hit the Road, I'm not a big buyers guy, but he's got a 76 buyer compared to Vitology 74. He has 2 wins at the distance, whereas Vitology fell short at a mile and fell short at a mile on the 16th. The price, the post isn't good, but you also get Flavian Pratt, who, against the normal California jockey colony, is by far the best turf rider out here. So I think he's very interesting.
It's also something we talked about. Flavian's got all 14 mounts in every Breeders' Cup race this year, so obviously he's going to be alive in a lot of spots.
Oh yeah, and I think he's alive in a lot of long shots. I mean, I think if you're not going to single Arizona, I think Hit the Road should be on your tickets just for the fact that Pratt picks up this mount, and the horse is 2 for 2 at the distance, including a win. It was an ungraded stake, but he's got a stakes win over this track at the distance.
It's very true. So, we call it the horse for course angle from those who read the handicapping books. Anything else in the 6th race, or you said we bump it up to the 7th?
Yeah, I think we beat that one. We beat that one pretty good.
7th race, mile and a 16th. on the dirt, the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies. I'll start this one off, Vinny. The morning line favorite, Donna Veloce, 3-1. Big time maiden with some heavy works coming in here. I just see a 91 with slow pace figures, and I instantly downgrade it. And I think everyone's just going to see a 91, and everyone's going to be like, this horse is 5-2. I'm just going to single and, or try and really hammer this horse in the win end. And they're going to be surprised when this horse gets swallowed up by what I think is a really salty group of fillies this year. Any certain spot that you start in this race, or are you with Donna Veloce or against?
I am not with Donna Veloce at all. I agree with you. I think the fact, the hype behind this horse is real. The fact that they made the 3-1 morning line by John White out of a maiden win for this race, I think that is crazy. I mean, you have multiple stakes winners, including a couple Grade 1 winners in this spot. I mean, you have a multiple Grade 1 winner already in Bast, who is not I can't believe isn't the morning line favorite, even though I'm not really on Bast either.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a lot of speed in this race. So I think a horse coming off the pace is going to get a very good setup, because I find it hard to believe that anybody in this field is fast enough to clear early. So with that being said, I mean, I feel like she's become the wise guy horse for this race is British Idiom. I know she's 7-2, but her run at Keeneland, she stalked right off the pace. I mean, she destroyed that field, and even her maiden race at Saratoga, she stalked the pace, and then she broke away late. Like, if there's a speed duel here, I think British Idiom's going to get a perfect trip.
I want to give a shout out real quick to Dennis Trusty in the chat. Says he's split between the 3 and the 4 because the 3 is getting Irad Ortiz back on, and the second time around 2 turns is interesting to him. That is perfect alibi. This is a horse that when I worked the bet squad at Saratoga this year, one of our guys is a big Mark Cassie fan. He says, those Sky Mesas don't go for over 200,000. I said, whatever, we'll see after the races are done. And he won both races at 5-1 and 6-1. So he got away pretty good. So I said, okay, I'll go to the funeral next time out in the Alcibiades where this horse gets blown out by your horse, British Idiom. I think this horse is on slow improvement. I think that this horse has got a great shot. 10-1, I think, is way, way too high of a price to not take on this horse. British Idiom has won both of her races by almost a combined 10 lengths. Javier, one of the best in the game. It's just the 2 morning line favorites. Bast, I understand she's a multiple grade winner, but I don't know what she's. If you look at the 2 horses in this race, she beat KP Dreaming and Comical. Comical to me is the most Jekyll and Hyde horse in this race, where you don't know what you're going to get out of her. And KP Dreaming is just a horse that, to me, is just going to sit mid-pack and try and come with a run. So the only other horse that you really have in the race is Wicked Whisper, who just went out last time and won the Frizette, stretching out with Joel Rosario and keeps Joel Rosario. What are your thoughts on this daughter of Liam's map?
I think Wicked Whisper is very interesting. And honestly, if I had to take a speed horse here, I would take Wicked Whisper over any of the other speed horses. The improvement from first to second time out, I thought was very good. I think the breeding's great. As Musin has had his horses out here for I want to say 2 weeks now, maybe 3.
More than that, even. He gets them out there as soon as he can.
I know a lot. Yeah, I know a lot of people have been praising Musin because he got a lot of his horses out here early. I do like Wicked Whisper. But to go back to your, I agree with you on Perfect Alibi. I know it doesn't look like, if you just go, this is my issue with speed figures and why I actually look for patterns more than I look for the overall number. Because I think the West Coast speed ratings are always inflated. You look back, Bass has an 85 and an 81. Donna Veloce got a 91. But Perfect Alibi, first time going around 2 turns, she actually ran her best career by her, even though she came in second.
Mm-hmm.
To me, to me, that's a telltale sign that even though she lost, she handled 2 turns very well. And like you said, at 10-1, that's a great price, especially with 2, in my opinion, skeptical favorites. Because I think Bass is going to get bet down as well as Donna Veloce. I think that they'll be the top 2, and British Idiom and Wicked Whisper will kind of fall back to that, to like the co second, third choice there. But I agree with you on Perfect Alibi. I mean, she fits, and that's why I look for patterns more than I look for the overall number, because obviously a 91 is going to win this. A 90 buyer would win this race. I don't think anybody's going to doubt that. Like 90 to 93 buyer would win. But I don't believe that she actually ran a 91 in that first race, like you said.
If this is the thing, if you look back at all the old school books and handicapping books, don't take a favorite trying something for the first time. She's trying 2 turns for the first time. She's trying winners for the first time. I'm not saying Bast is like the second coming of Songbird, which she's definitely not to me, because she already has a loss. But this is the year where I think that it's a lot closer between the West and East and even Midwest horses. I think that taking a horse at a low price of under 5-2 is a mistake in this race.
I agree with you on that. I mean, even like a horse like KP Dreaming is probably the longest shot on the board. Like, improve, like maybe that, like, this is maybe the buyers inflated a bit because Bass was in that race. But I mean, career wise, that was probably her best race, going a mile on the 16th, and she's 20-1. Like, I would take a shot. I would really take a shot against Bass and Donna Veloce. I think they're two. I think they're 2 horses that are very beatable in the spot. And if one of them freaks and wins at a short price, so be it.
So it sounds like for me, I'm going British Idiom, Perfect Alibi, and you're more British Idiom, Wicked Whisper camp. Does that sound about?
I do have a strong opinion in the Colts Juvenile, so I might spread a little bit there and use a single in the Colts Juvenile.
Race number 8, the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies Turf. Are you Team USA or are you Team Euro?
I am split. I actually really like 2 horses in here, and I would be happy just using those 2. For Team USA, Cristal. Cristal. I think the fact that she's 8, I will be very surprised if we get 8-1 on her. I feel like this horse is going to take a ton of money. She had a questionable DQ in her debut where she beat one highly touted Chad Brown horse in Sketches of Spain, and she beat she also beat Sparkling Sky, who has come back to win since. Got DQ, questionable DQ. We'll live with it. Then she came back and she beat Sweet Melania, who came back to destroy a field at Keeneland, I believe.
Yeah, in the Dustman. Yep.
Yeah. So she beat her, and I mean, Sweet Melania had a very good trip in that race, and Cristal was just better. She caught her late, but she was just a better horse. And then last time in the grade 2, she had a horrible, horrible trip, and she just missed. I mean, with a better trip, this horse is undefeated, and I don't think you have anywhere near 8-1. I bet this horse goes off closer to 5-1.
Are you worried at all about the trainer John Kimmel not really being one of those that you see on the world stage from time to time?
Not really, because I don't follow John Kimmel that closely. But when he gets a horse that the ownership group here paid $220,000 for this Daughter of Pal's Malice in April, and they gave him the Kimmel. I feel like Kimmel does not get many horses like that. I would have to look up a stat to see how many expensive horses he has. But I feel like this is one of those. It's one of those cases, kind of like Shub. Like Shug randomly gets these expensive horses and they win. And Kimmel's not a trainer to overplace his horses. If he's putting them in a stakes race, he thinks they have a really good chance. And I'm gonna go I think this horse. I think she's ready. She gets Rosario, who's arguably the best turf closer in the game, and she's got an off the pace running style. I just think she fits.
I can't say I didn't circle her because I did. I am also split, but I am more Team Euro. Daia from Great Britain for Roger Varian and William Buick. The price just makes sense. This horse is another one that has won multiple graded stakes, just missing the grade 1-2 back at Curragh. I mean, when you're looking for horses that want to hit the exacta, this horse is 5 for 5 in the exacta, so you're not really missing much. Doesn't end up on an outside post like my second choice, Sweet Melania, at the same exact price. It's really more of a, who do I choose? I end up going by post position. Pletcher, Jose. Todd, not always known for his turf routers, but this horse improved every race from a 46 to up to an 82 in that last blowout win at Keeneland. Another horse by American Pharoah, another horse that's on the turf for American Pharoah. Don't let the post beat you when you have good sires, good connections, and a really good last race.
I agree with that. I know Pletcher had Bulletin last year, and he sneakily has these good turf horses.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not really concerned with that. With her potentially hitting the board. I just don't know what she beat last time, and she had everything her way to back against Cristal, and she couldn't get the job done. She's one I think I'm just going to have to. Same with Selflessly for Chad Brown. I think because of the post, and because I don't really know what they beat, I'm just going to use. I'm going to fade both of them as well.
What are your thoughts on the morning line favorite Albigna? Probably saying that wrong, but 9-2 on the morning line. Obviously, we haven't talked about it, so it seems to me like this is a safe fade for both of us.
I think she is a horse that I feel like you have to, if you're using Euros, you have to throw her in. If you're multi-race tickets, I think if you're just playing the straight win fader, but if you're playing a pick 4, pick 5 with this race, I would toss her in. That last time form rating of 100 going 1 mile, it was a grade 1. I don't know exactly what was in that field. I did watch the replay and she looked good, but she's a horse, especially with odds like this. Yes, she's the morning line favorite, but the favorite in this race is probably going to go off what I would say 4-1, maybe 7-2 at the lowest.
$10 horse for the favorite, pretty
right,
good.
You would hate to get knocked out of a multi-ticket for a $10 horse. In this race, I feel like this race more than any other race in this early sequence here is on Friday is going to be the most spread. So even the favorites probably will they'll probably be a little lower in the multis, but I feel like they're all going to I feel like this horse is still going to provide value. So even if you use it, it's not like you're chalking out here.
Are you worried at all about ground? Obviously, this horse just won a grade 1 on soft. A lot of the times you hear Euros come over here for firm ground. Are you worried at all about the ground for this horse favorite 9-2, Avalona?
I'm not, especially as a 2-year-old. This one has very good turf breeding. I'm not worried about it at all. If she doesn't like the firm turf, she doesn't like the firm turf. Okay, but for a lot of these Euros, unless it's proven that they don't really like firm turf, I know that was an issue. I forget what kind of turf it was, but for Found, one of the years she came, there was one. It was either firm or really soft turf that she was known not to like. So I feel like unless there's a known fact that they don't like a surface, I feel like these Euros they run on turf. So I wouldn't fade them off of maybe this horse won't like firm turf.
Let's go towards, unless there's anything in that race, Vinny. Anything else?
No, not really. I mean, I agree with you on Daia there. 5 posts, I think, looks awfully tough, and probably would be my top hero if I went like for splitting. That would be my top hero.
Race number 9. It is the final Breeders' Cup race on Breeders' Cup Friday, mile and a 16th. It is the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. Not the best race I have seen out of past years. Obviously, we have 2 major players. One got scratched out early in the week. That is the horse in the far post, Maxfield. Where'd you go here? Did you split hairs? Did you take them both? Of course, I'm talking about 8 Rings and Dennis's Moment.
I was pro Maxfield, and that scratch, I sent so many texts out to people, you included, when Maxfield scratch. Actually, I think you texted me first.
I texted you first. Yeah.
But I was pretty upset. I was all ready to single Maxfield. With that being said, I am not on either of the big 2 here.
Interesting.
If I had to pick one of the big 2, it would be 8 Rings. Not 8 Rings. It would be Dennis's Moment, and I would fade 8 Rings. I'm not saying 8 Rings can't win here, but this horse reminds me a lot of Classic Empire, who did win the Juvenile.
Okay.
But I just feel like he is a beatable. I feel like he is a beatable horse. His last race, I was kind of like it was great that he bounced back like that, like he knew he would. But I don't know. There's just something about him that like he's visually impressive, but I would prefer. I think Dennis's Moment is just one of those. I think Dennis's Moment just has a shot to be like one of those horses that just can be a superstar. This horse has made everything look very, very easy. I mean, that last race, he only got a 90 buyer for the Iroquois, and he was wrapped up midway down the stretch. Like, so that's misleading. But I'm gonna fade both of them, and I am actually going to single Scabbard here as my top pick.
Wow. Okay, do tell. Wow.
My
breaking news, everybody. Vinny is lost his mind, but go ahead.
Here's my reasoning for this. I think both. Well, one, you have Wrecking Crew in the race, who I think he's adding blinkers. He gets Paco Lopez. This horse is going to be sent.
Okay.
I think Dennis's Moment from the rail has to also be sent. If they don't send him and he can really rate against a very good field, okay, like he can probably, like he might be, like he could beat me. I think 8 Rings has to go. This horse has shown zero ability to rate. He's shown to be a head case, just like Classic Empire was.
Mm-hmm.
I think this horse has to go. And I think we get a speed duel. I think this pace is probably like low 23s, low 47s for the half. And I think Scabbard stepped up in a big way, going 2 turns for the first time last time out in Iroquois. I know I just said Dennis's Moment was geared down in the stretch, but he still made up a ton of ground to get second.
Mm-hmm.
If he gets a speed duel and he's not trying to close in the low in speed, he gets Mike Smith in the irons, who Mike Smith won more Breeders' Cup races than anybody.
26 of them.
Some of them at big prices. His 2 losses are seconds to Greenlight Go, who was very highly touted, and he's second to Dennis's Moment, who was basically alone because after the first half, the pace horse quit.
I believe Greenlight Go is also injured right now and is off the trail for right now. Is that correct? Do you know off the top of your head?
I believe he's injured. I forget what happened in his last, if he ran in that last race or if he ran and lost.
I feel like he's scratched out, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I think you're right. I know he is. He's on the shelf for now, and they're preparing for next year. So in reality, this horse has 2 seconds to two horses who are highly touted. He adds Mike Smith. I mean, Mike Smith didn't have to take this mount. Like, yes, he lost the mount. He didn't get the mount on 8 rings, even though the mount on 8 rings was really never his to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
So he picks up this mount, and this horse has consistent, like, usually the issue with closers, especially when they're young, is that they usually have a race in there where they didn't consistently make up lengths. But this horse has fired in all 3 races, and his best career race was the second to Dennis's Moment. And 8-1, I mean, with the scratch of Maxfield, I bet that 8-1 turns into like 5-6-1. But if we get a speed duel here, I just think he can pick up the pieces, and Mike Smith is the jockey that is just prone to do that.
Mike Smith is definitely the jockey that you would like to see off of, like, not that Corey's not a bad jockey, Corey's a good jockey, but Mike Smith is definitely an upgrade, like, unbeknownst to what people think.
Right, and like you said, Corey Lannery, I'm sure would ride this horse great in here. But again, Eddie Keneally is not, he is not one that overplaces horses too often. I know his record in graded stakes isn't phenomenal, but he is like he's another trainer that doesn't have a monster-sized barn. That this horse wouldn't be in here if he didn't think he could at least pick up a paycheck here. So even if Scabbard doesn't win, like maybe on a spread, like on a 50-cent ticket, I maybe would throw in Dennis's Moment, because he scares me a lot more than 8 rings. But if I'm gonna play like a $2 straight ticket here, like I'm gonna single Scabbard and hope I get the price.
I don't know if you see these comments over here coming in from our boy Dennis Trusty, but just know, Dennis, that
calling me crazy.
He's calling you crazy, and just know, Dennis, if he out finishes you in the head-to-head this weekend, you're gonna look like the wheel of cheese over there compared to what me and Vinny are gonna do. For me, Dennis's Moment, 2 back, slow fractions, 97 buyer, 1 by almost 20 lengths. You have to downgrade it. To me, it's like he's ran 2 90s in a row. I don't think he's improving. I think he clipped heels and lost the jockey at Churchill in the opening race. Obviously, you hear Dale Roman say this is the best horse he's trained. It could be true. It could not be true. Scabbard, to me, is just not going to have enough pace. Obviously, I was big on Maxfield as well going into this. I think 8 rings, with everyone talking about how deep the surface is out there at Santa Anita, I think he has home field advantage. I think it's Baffert. I think Empire Maker on the top. I think that this horse is just going to keep getting better with more distance. I like the race last time out with the 87. It's not as fast. Obviously, he ducked in the rider a la, like you were saying, Classic Empire. John Velasquez, I think, is the perfect horse the perfect jockey for this horse. I think he's going to know exactly where to put this horse in the race. And for me, it's 8 rings, and that is the single, maybe a little bit of 8 rings and Scabbard underneath, and that's about it.
Oh.
Anything else on this race, Vinny, or are we ready to move over to Saturday?
I think my one other issue with 8 rings is that, like, I get that the Connections paid $520,000 for him.
Mm-hmm.
But class horse, I don't see why Windstar would have even sold him and not kept him as a homebred.
Interesting.
He's bred by Windstar, sold, and I mean, he sold for a pretty penny. I mean, no questions there, especially with only an $85,000 stud fee on Empire Maker. Like,
mm-hmm.
That's a nice profit. I can see why, like, not saying they were wrong to sell him, but I feel like Connections like Windstar, they tend to hold on to the ones they think are great or think are going to be great. So the fact that they let this one slip through might make me think he's just he's just one of those, like, he's a 2-year-old that's very, very good, and I don't know. I think we may have seen the best from him.
So you already owe me a lunch from all the bets we've made up at Saratoga. Do you want to go double or nothing? You take Scabbard, I take 8 rings, or I'll even give you Dennis's Moment, whichever one you want.
Give me Scabbard, and we'll bet Hatties for next year.
You got it. It's a bet.
I'll take Scabbard. We'll do this.
It's 100% a bet.
I will enjoy I will enjoy I'm already tasting that chicken.
Oh my God. There's 4 people in the chat. We will obviously hear from these 4 people. Dennis is in the chat. He'll for sure let us know. Moving on to Saturday.
Yeah, let's move on to Saturday.
4th race, 6 or 7 furlongs. The Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Sprint. Obviously, Kofefi, one of the more talked about horses in this race, has some tough competition from horses like the number 4 Come Dancing, 6 Bellafina, and also the number 9 Spice Perfection. Where'd you go here, Vinny?
Well, this is a race that honestly I feel like you either single Kofefe or Come Dancing, or you spread, because and I'm not the biggest Kofefe fan. She has beaten me. She beat me. I was all over Serengeti Empress that day at Saratoga, and that was a very tough beat for me.
Mm-hmm.
I was not too happy there.
I tried calling you afterwards. You wouldn't even take my call. I was like, oh no.
Right. Yeah. The Dogwood ended up coming back great because Bell's the One ended up coming back to win whatever stake that was. What was that, last weekend or the week before?
I think it was the week before.
She won. Yeah, the week before she won a stake at Keeneland at like 13-1 or something like that. So that looks good. Come Dancing. Everyone's been talking about her gait issues, that she's not the greatest. She's not the greatest starter.
Yeah.
But I mean, I feel like even though she's not the greatest starter, she recovers fairly quickly in those races. I mean, if you look like at first call, she's never been more than a length and a half behind in her last 10 races.
She was 2 behind in the Gallant Bloom, but we won't count that. But if for the rest of the races, yeah, you're pretty much right.
Right, so she was never more than 2 back. You can sit 2 back in this race unless there's lone speed. I'm okay. I would be okay with that. I think Bellafina is very interesting, but I am not a fan of the price. She's 4 for 4 at Santa Anita, and I think she's a horse that never wanted to leave Santa Anita, and I really believe she is a horse for the course.
Okay.
You look at her last 3 races at Santa Anita, and then you look at her last 3 races. Her 3 races she's had since. They tried to ship this. They just tried to ship her out and hope that she was as good as she was in California.
I definitely think she's not. I definitely think that the last race she's got some excuses. Up on a really fast pace, Street Band came flying and got everybody. 2 back, she had a fast pace as well and could only get 3rd by 9. But that was also against Kofefi and obviously Serengeti Empress winning the Kentucky Oaks. I do agree with you on the horse for course. If you just look at those 3 races, 76, 81, 84, she is cycling back up. But the races of 90, 95, 90, 89 at Santa Anita kind of tell the story here, I think.
Right. And even if you just look at even her other, she ran in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Filly last year.
4th by 9.
She went off the favorite. Right. But, she ran all of her buyers outside of California are sub 85. She has 1 sub 80 buyer inside of California.
Yeah.
Which was I don't know what
the Del Mar debutante.
And she still won.
Yeah.
But she's interesting. I think 6-1 is a terror. This is a horse for course that at 10 or 12-1, I would probably be like, yeah, you know what? She fits well. At 6-1, I can't use her. I think that's a too low of a price to take a risk that she really is a horse for course, and the rest of this class, the rest of the 3-year-old class just didn't catch up to her. I actually ended up on Dawn the Destroyer here, which I don't like this horse at all.
But you ended up on top.
I ended up with her on top because I think Kofefi is a speed horse, and she could wire this field. If she wires this field, I will not be shocked at all.
She's going to have to from the inside.
Right. From the inside, I think the 2 has to go, who I don't think is very good, but I think she has to go, even though she does have 3 wins and 3/3 here at Santa Anita, and she's won a couple graded stakes. I think she has to go. Heaven Has My Nikki has to go, and I think is a lot better than what people think. Like people give her credit for.
I almost picked her in my stable duel. I was so tempted to until I saw how much speed was in this race.
Right, there's a lot of speed in this race. She gets Santana though, who's an aggressive jockey, and I like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I know people always criticize Luch for overplacing his horses, but he has Heaven Has My Nikki has been the last year or so has consistently been one of the best horses in his barn.
I mean, it's this horse, and it's the horse that I think Navarro owns down south that I can't think of off the top of my head that wins all the Gulfstream races. Like, these are the two horses that I think I know of the most. This is not where Luch is dropping a horse into the woodward again and also running a rabbit where they wouldn't let him. These horses are legitimate. That's why they're actually in the Breeders' Cup fields.
And I've heard a couple people saying Selcourt, and there's too much speed. Like, Selcourt's race that could win this race is the Santa Monica from March of last year, where she beat where she went gate the wire against Marley's Freedom. But since that race, I mean, she hadn't even run anything close to that since that race. And you could say, oh, it's Santa Anita. Well, she's had 4 races at Santa Anita since, and none of them are good enough to win this race. But again, she's another speed horse. You have Spice Perfection, Spice Perfection scares me, and I think 4-1 is a very fair price on her. And I would not be surprised if she won. But Dawn the Destroyer has just slowly been coming on. She has her last few races. I mean, she did lose to Heaven. She lost to Heaven As My Nikki, but was gaining late. She lost the Separation of Powers, who freaked in the Bed of Roses because she never regained form. She came in second to Come Dancing at Saratoga, and in her last race, she came in second to Spice Perfection again, but nearly stole that race.
She needs to get faster. 290s back to back off this layoff. She needs to get faster, I think.
I agree with you that she needs to get faster, but I mean, we might see a 22, on this Santa Anita, we might see a 22:44 again on this course for her. And, she's never had a 44 pace to close into. She had a 22:45 and she just missed. A low 22, a low 44. She really could make up that ground, especially since this is at 7 furlongs. If this was at 6, I think I would fade her completely. But at 7 furlongs, it's kind of on the outskirts of a sprint. And I know Kofefi has run very good, but if Kofefi has to deal with 4 other speed horses and putting them away first, and Dawn the Destroyer just has a kick late, she could catch her. I just think at 12-1, I'm willing to take a risk with Dawn the Destroyer.
Gaff Leon, I don't think has ever won a Breeders' Cup race either, but he's a very, very good jockey. I always pick her underneath. I don't think she's fast enough, let alone Kofefi. If she beats me, she's gonna F and bleep and beat me. I just can't take her again. Inside speed. There's every single type of speed in this race. Bellafina is super interesting getting back to California. 6-1 is probably the wrong price, but I think that if she's 12-1, she probably drifts to 6 anyway with Flavian Pratt on her. So you have that going. Last horse I can pick is Spice Perfection. John Velasquez jumps on for Javier. Obviously, this horse just ran that same race we're talking about against Dawn the Destroyer at Keeneland. I just think that it's a pace setup. I think she got the pace setup last time. She got up and won. 4-1 was the price. I think we're going to get the same type of thing today. And I think that this will be a horse that you can definitely use to add into your multis and try and beat. What I think Kofefi will be is probably, I think she's 2-1 on the morning line. This horse might 5-2, 2-1, 9-5, 8-5. She's definitely going to be somewhere in that. I don't think she's going to go lower than 8-5. I think that there's definitely horses. Come Dancing, I think, has gotten worse as the year goes on, and I think she's now stagnated. 98, 96, 97, the last 3, the 2 before that, with slow paces were 114 and 103. So I'm completely fading Come Dancing. I just end up then, if I'm going to go too deep, I'm going to take Bellafina as the second horse, and Spice Perfection is my top pick.
My thing with taking Dawn to the Destroyer like over Spice Perfection is that, if I had to use two, it would be those two. Those two are my two. But they both got a 90 for last time out, Fire. And I know you were just talking about Come Dancing kind of being regressing. Spice Perfection, her top career buyer is a 93, which won her the Madison. But you're saying Dawn to the Destroyer's got to get faster for running her career. Her career best is a 96, which, granted, wasn't against much. But Spice Perfection's top buyer is 93. So
back-to-back this year in the Madison and the Frecce.
Yeah, I feel like if you're using one, you should just use, you got to use both of these.
And the price difference?
I think that last. Right, you're getting 3 times the value on Dawn the Destroyer. I like Spice Perfection, so you don't need to talk me into her at all. But that's just that. That's why that's why I'm going to use both of them on my tickets, because I think they both provide great value. If they run that, I think that last race is better than a 90. Is kind of the moral of my story here. Is that I think that race is better than a 90. And if Kopepi runs a 107, she wins this race. But
so,
like you said before,
you bring up the 107. So is it the last 107 she bounced, or is she just better at 7 furlongs? Maybe now that she's staying at 7, maybe it'll prove that I was wrong, because obviously when she went back off the 107, she went back to 6 furlongs. Young horses like this, I need to see back-to-back races where they actually can, show I can run 100 back-to-back, not go from 107 to a mid-90 or whatever she ran.
I agree with you. And Brad, I forget who was talking about it earlier in the week that I listened to. I've listened to a lot of different podcasts and stuff this week. Brad Cox has awful numbers shipping to California. And he's had some very low-price favorites. And they haven't run a step.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying Kopepi is going to be one of them. But, if Kopepi was trained by, Fletcher or Asmussen or somebody like that who consistently wins races out here, I would probably use her as defensively. But Brad Cox, I think it was, less than 10. It was less than, 11. It was 11% or less or something like that. And, he wasn't, he had some very heavy favorites ship out here and just run terrible. I just, he just doesn't have success shipping. I know you talked about Aiden O'Brien, you have to wait for Aiden O'Brien to win a race to play him earlier. I think Brad Cox in California is the same way. He's only had 2 starters. He's only had 2 starters this year out here, it looks like, by the past performances.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious who they were, because I bet one of them probably went off a pretty heavy price, and they didn't win. So I'm gonna fade Kopepi and hope she can't replicate that 107.
I think that this is going to be a very, very interesting race. Marshall in the chat says Cox is super hot lately. I can forgive his past for how good he has been this year. That's true. Brad Cox is definitely one of the better up and comers. I forget where we looked it up. We hadn't known what trainer tree he came out of, and I want to say it was Eddie Keneally, or it was one of the random, not top Midwest trainers. It was more of the 14, 15 percenters, and we were shocked. I think it was Eddie Keneally. I don't remember. Me and you had talked about it a couple of weeks ago.
I just want to give a shout out to Nick, who's my partner here at Dynasty. Before Brad Cox really jumped onto the scene, Nick told me, he's it was one of his it had to be one of his first 50 starters that won. Mm-hmm. And Nick texted me and said, this guy is going to be the dirt version. He said, this guy is going to be the dirt version of Chad Brown in a few years. And he's not there yet, but Brad, everyone knows who Brad Cox is now. He went from and Nick just picked him out of nowhere. He just knew this guy could train. So here we are. But with that being said, Nick loves Tofefe, and I don't.
I just wanted to give a couple quick thoughts before we move on to race number 5. We've been on here for just about an hour now. There's 5 people watching. If you guys have enjoyed, please hit the like button. Please hit the subscribe button. We're just trying out something new here for the dailygallop.net. We have our own website. We're pretty action-packed on Twitter every day. So if you want to see more of this, send comments, send ideas of what you guys would like to hear in podcast form or in live form like we are doing tonight. Another thing, there is 2 free rolls going on tomorrow and Saturday on a app called Stable Duel. What you do is it's pretty much daily fantasy sports, but with horse racing. You take a limited bankroll, I believe it's 50 or 30,000, and you build your stable of 10 horses throughout the day. You can pick as many as you want in each race, as long as staying under the cap. It's going to be super fun. 2 free rolls to start off what I think is going to be a very excellent thing coming down the line for our generation. You know, if you're under 30 and you like fantasy sports, listening to these podcasts, In the Money, Magic Mike, you know, I do one on In the Money called Redboard Rewind, where this week we did talk about Stable Duel, and we kind of built our own stables throughout that podcast. This is something to where we can actually, you know, learn the game and not be at really, really expensive. Not have it be $100 a week where we're like, oh, we don't know how we can spend this much money. Vinny, I know you also are doing the Stable Duel stuff. Anything else you'd like to add on that?
I'm a big fan. I have been a big fantasy football fan for years, and I use DraftKings. I use those apps. This is basically horse racing with that. Like this, you get a $50,000 budget, and you get to buy 10 horses. They have 2 games right now. One for Friday's card, one for Saturday's card. You buy 10. You get $50,000. You get 10 horses, and each horse the values are set based on their money line, which I think is great. So I mean, I have my 2 stables built. I think this could be very cool, especially if you're someone like me. Like I like football a lot. Big basketball guy too. Never really could get into fantasy basketball. Fantasy football's fun, but I mean, if you give me fantasy horse racing every weekend, like I'm going to be addicted to this.
Not good for me or for you. We already talk enough on the phone. Now we'll be talking up like schoolgirls till 3 a.m. about our stables. Race number 5, the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint, 5 furlongs on the turf course. Vinny, tough race. I kind of ended up on a random horse in here where Eddie Haskell is the favorite, 9-2. Joel Rosario again for Mark Glatt. Where did you decide to slide in?
This is a race where I am going to spread very, very deep. This race, I think I tweeted out earlier this week, if you follow me, that this was the toughest race of the Breeders' Card to handicap. And I think it is, because I think you can make a logical case for probably 10 of these horses, at least 10 of these horses. This is a tough field. You're going even 9-2 morning line favorite. You have an $11 horse as a morning line favorite. Like this is going to be a fun race with a fun finish. If you have the bankroll to use the all button, this is where I recommend doing it. I ended up on Imprimis or Imprimis. Or however you say it.
Imprimis.
Yeah, like I think it is. He gets Frankie Dettori, who Frankie Dettori actually rode him at Ascot.
Yeah.
So it is not the first time Frankie is in the mount. And the horse that won that day, Blue Point, won 2 grade 1s at the Royal Ascot meet in the same meet. That was a world. He was the best turf sprinter in the world. There was no doubt about it. So there was no shame in him losing. He comes back over. yeah, he goes off the favorite. He doesn't win. He loses to Totally Boss, who ran a very good race, who I think is logical here. And then after that, he comes back. He comes back at Keeneland, and he loses 2 more horses, Stubbins and Linster, who both make sense here. But now he gets the Tory back, and he had Paco on him, and I know Paco's got very good stats, and Paco is a very good jockey in his own right. But I prefer Paco on a front-end speed horse. And this horse wants to come from off the pace. So I'm giving him another shot, especially at a morning line at 8-1, where he's been right there.
I mean, for him, when you look at it, the Shakertown and the Silks run earlier in the year, both over 100, goes to Ascot, comes back. This is why everyone talks about horse racing is not beatable. This horse went off in a grade 3 at Kentucky Downs, didn't hit the board at right around 2-1. He then comes back, jumps in class to the Woodford, finishes third, didn't lose by a lot, but went off at 1.4-1, which I believe is like 6-5, 7-5, or maybe even 3-2. How does a horse that loses at a grade 3 and jump in class go off at lower odds? The horse is obviously 7 for 12, loves to win, loves the turf, gets the Tory back on. We know how the Tory is always good with those crafty rides. I'm 100% against this horse. I think the horse was better earlier in the year, and the 94-95 for a 5-year-old just shows that the horse maybe has lost a step. Totally Boss, a nose from being perfect this year. Totally fits. Pure Sensation comes out of the turf race at Parks on a yielding turf where 3 winners, 2 listed stakes out of it. So it just, to me, I ended up on Stubbins, Flavian Pratt. This is the one where I finally end up having to, pick him. I think the races in August and July were not that good. Then all of a sudden, bam, Rosario jumps on and decisively, improves to a 95 and a 102. As Vinny's typing, sounds like he's breaking fingers over there.
Sorry, guys. I was responding to Marshall.
That's fine. The only other horse I took, if Stormy Liberal is going to win 3 in a row, don't let him beat you at 8-1. Gets Johnny. The races are not that good. 93, 93, 93. Pretty stagnant. Maybe this is the race where he does bump up because there's so many other interesting horses in this race. This is the kind of race where you're not supposed to take a horse under 5-1. I get it. The favorite's 9-2. Like Vinny said, if you have the money, hit the all button. If you hit the all button, you better be going really, really slim the rest of the way with like 3 or 4 singles. But you also have to realize that if you go all in this race and one of the top 3 win, going all still is not the best because even though the win price might be good, they're probably all about the same in multis anyway. Anything there?
One other horse I want to talk about who she got no favors with the post draw, but Belmore Bay, I think that's how you say it, or Belmore Bay.
Belmore Bay.
Say it. Yep. Horse.
You're right. Go ahead.
She is very, very good. She went to Dubai earlier this year, and she nearly stole that sprint. She lost the Blue Point again, who I pointed out with Imprimis.
Yeah.
Blue Point was really the best turf sprinter in the world. I'm not making that up. Like if you look at what Blue Point accomplished in his career, look that up. Like it's ridiculous. But ran very well there. Comes back, they ran her on an off track in a grade 3. She takes second. Like this horse has shown she can run on any surface. She comes back and she loses a grade 1, which was won by World of Trouble. Now, World of Trouble probably would be a heavy favorite in year if he ran.
Mm-hmm.
And in my opinion, if World of Trouble was in this race, World of Trouble would be my single. He almost won the race last year, and that horse was just going anything under, and I've been saying this to my close friends for a while. Under 7 furlongs, I will take World of Trouble in a sprint over any other horse in the world. Just a fast horse. So lost to World of Trouble. You get 12-1. Yes, you lose Flavian Pratt, which that is concerning to me, which is probably why I'm not super high on this horse, more high on this horse as I should be. But you gain Javier, who's a Hall of Famer, so not the worst thing. I think this horse is another one that fits, and if she gets the right trip, I know the 12 post sucks, but she shouldn't get any traffic. So if she gets a right trip and she runs an A-game race, I think she's going to be right there at the end. She likes Santa Anita.
I think it's going to be a very, very interesting race. Marshall in the chat brings up Leinster. Tyler Gaffleon rides. Rusty Arnold is the trainer. Improving. The Troy at Saratoga this year was great with a 108. Maybe now going back up after the bounce down to the 94. Ran really nice at Keeneland just to lose to Stubbins. I think if you're going to take Stubbins, you got to look at this horse at 8-1 as well.
I agree. I 100% agree with you on that. They are Leinster is definitely a horse I would use here and not leave off. Stubbins is another one. My only concern with some of these horses in here, like Pearson, like a Pure Sensation, like Stubbins, not necessarily Stubbins because he didn't run against him, but like Leinster, is that a lot of their marquee wins this year came against Disco, Final Frontier is another one, and Shiki Shabazz another one. They beat Disco Partner this year. And I'm a big Disco Partner fan here. But this year's Disco Partner was not the same Disco Partner we've seen in years past.
Totally agree.
And I think a lot of those races were inflated based on the fact that Disco Partner was running in them, based on Disco Partner's past history. And Shiki Shabazz, who should be one of the main speeds in here. He got a 102 for the Lucky Coin, and he backed it up with another 102 that he lost. But you had, I believe, Disco Partner was in each of those races. I believe Disco Partner finished 4th in that Belmont sprint there on October 5th, if I remember correctly. And then he was retired afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not saying that they're not good horses, but I think the numbers might be a little inflated because you had a past horse in there who his efforts from the last 2 years had been top of the food chain in this division, and then all of a sudden he hit a wall and he was not the same horse. And same with Leinster. I mean, he broke the track record in the Troy.
Mm-hmm.
That the track was running very.
I seem to have lost Vinny there. Hopefully he comes back. If not, we might have to cut the stream short here, boys and girls, because I seem to have lost him completely. I'm going to end the stream. We might be back in a few minutes. We might not. Please stay tuned. If not, look for a tweet out on Twitter if we are going to stop or keep going. See you guys soon.